Ni hao. Today I'm going to be trying some Chinese snacks, which means you're in for a collection of facial expressions, terrible pronunciation of Chinese food items, and me just eating food. So obviously I should kick off by apologising for my terrible Chinese pronunciation. I did go to China for 3 weeks once to do like a language, business and culture course, but I remember very little from that. I've got a good variety of Chinese snacks to try with me today. I've tried to go for a nice range in terms of some savoury snacks, some sweet snacks, some kind of more modern snacks versus some more traditional snacks. I currently think that all of these things that I've got here today to try are all made in China and quite commonly eaten in China. But if I am wrong, just let me know in the comments below. It would be good to have a chat about it and educate myself some more. In the meantime, for educating myself as I go through and understanding what it is exactly I'm eating, I have got my laptop here to educate me. But one thing I will be able to tell you for sure is what I think of these snacks. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first Chinese snack I will be trying is spicy crayfish flavour Lay's. So I did actually have some Lay's when I was in China before. I've made sure that everything I've picked to try today is something that I'm trying for the first time. So I think I had seaweed flavour Lay's before, but this will be my first ever time eating spicy crayfish flavour Lay's. The closest I can think of in terms of what this will taste like to me, I don't know if anywhere in the world other than the UK has prawn cocktail flavour crisps, but that's about as close as I can think I've gotten to these before. Ooh. Okay, that kind of makes sense. The smell makes sense. It's making my mouth water, so that's a good sign. There is like a seafoody hint to it, but also the spice also comes through. It's like a quite a warm flavour to smell, but let's have a bite. I like these. That is my first impression. I didn't necessarily, the spice didn't come through straight away, so it started a little bit bland, like there was just that hint of seafood, the hint of kind of flavourings and spices, but then the spiciness kind of kicked in after a couple of seconds, and I feel like they'd be quite moreish. It's definitely a flavour we don't have here in the UK, and I can see, I'm not sure whether it would be generally to kind of the British palate, but I really, really like these, and I think I will be enjoying. In fact, I'm going to have another one before I finish. I feel like I wonder if it's got, I just suddenly thought, I'm wondering if it's got MSG in it, because I'm immediately feeling like my mouth is watering and I want to eat more, but it could just as easily be the fact that it's spicy, but it's also got sugar in. Well, at a cursory glance, I can't see any MSG, but I do like these. I'm going to have another one before we move on to the next snack. So to clear my palate, I did get a drink. I got a, what does it say in English anywhere? A spring lemon iced tea drink with sugars and sweeteners. So last time when I was in China, I thought I was going to really like the iced tea. I thought it would be, because like Lipton iced tea and things I enjoy, but could enjoy with just a tad less sweetener. So I thought maybe in China, because in my head it's kind of one of the homes of tea, you'd be able to get iced tea with less sweetener in, but whatever I bought was incredibly, like I could only taste sweeteners, I couldn't taste any tea. So we'll see if I can hopefully taste some tea with this. Because this is going to be my palate cleanser throughout the video. Okay, that's actually quite nice. That's like, it's sweet, but it's Lipton iced tea level sweet. So it's actually like the citrus comes through quite nicely. I could probably quite happily drink that, but I feel like it is a bit sweet for like an everyday sort of drink. It's very much like when you're in the mood for a lot of sweetness, that's when I'd have this. Next we have egg sachima. Hold on.
Sachima.
Sachima. Egg sachima. So apparently sachima is a traditional Chinese egg pasty, which basically is made from fried egg noodles and then mixed up in syrup. Okay, so I can kind of, from the packet, I can kind of see the whole noodles element of that, fried egg noodles. I'm wondering if they're going to be kind of a bit like corn cakes or rice cakes, like the dried version, but possibly just a bit sweeter. But we'll see. Why can I not fit in? Oh, this is an end look. Oh. Just like that. So they're individually wrapped. And here is what this looks like. It's kind of dry and soggy at the same time. It's an odd texture. It feels like it's gone stale in the sense that it's not got like that much. It's not got that much strength in the texture to it. I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels kind of like it falls apart. But I was expecting it to be crunchier. I suppose it makes sense because they're putting syrup on it, so it must kind of moisten up the dry elements. Flavour wise, I don't dislike it, but also I don't think that I would be going out of my way to eat this again if I didn't have a multi-pack now in my hands that I've got to get through. So it's a meh from me. Next we have this thing, which is a Snack Lab toast bread with filling watermelon flavour. If there's anything, because I ordered these like a couple of months ago, and me being me, kind of procrastinated on actually filming this video. So if there's anything I'm slightly worried about not being in date still, it is this. But the problem is with, I think, a lot of Chinese items, they put the date it was made, not the date it goes off. So all I know is that it was made on the 15th of August. I obviously ordered it in September or maybe early October. It's definitely been here for over a month. But I suppose there's only one way to find out if this is still in date. It was a sort of thing that seemed to me like I've never seen something like this sold in Britain. Like it's bread, but it's kind of made to look like watermelon, and it's obviously got watermelon flavouring, and I was just so intrigued when I saw it. So let's see. Ooh. Oh, that's a really confusing smell because it does smell like bread. Like it's just got a signature bread smell about it, but it also smells like watermelon flavouring, and that's confusing my brain a little bit. But here it is. So it's 2 layers of this watermelon bread, which has got, so the crust is harder as well. And then inside it has a watermelon flavour sticking the 2 pieces together, I think. so confusing to my brain. I don't actually think it's awful, but I think my brain is so confused by it that I want to reject it with all of my being. It's like there's a hint of bread, like it does still taste like bread, but then it's got this like the sweet filling that's like watermelon flavored, and it's flavored so heavily like watermelon. I can't wrap my head. I'd rather be eating watermelon. Like, I'd rather have the healthier option of just eat the watermelon than eat this. This is way too confusing for my brain, but I also feel like, to be fair to it, I've got to try, because the crust is different, I have to take a bite of that as well, and I really don't want to. Oh. Okay, so that was more tolerable than the bit with the filling. It was like it tasted more bready. You could taste the bread flavour more, and it just tasted like bread but with a hint of watermelon. And considering that, I'm going to say that my biggest issue is that the watermelon flavouring is completely overpowering on this part of it. I never want to eat this again in my life. That's a strong no from me. And now we have peanut mochi. I'm going to assume that this is as simple as it seems. As a concept, it is just peanut flavoured mochi. I've had mochi before. I like mochi. So hopefully, once I fit into it. Oh, there we go. Basically, I've opened into it, but not enough for me to actually get any mochi out. Oh, there we go. Never mind. Just me being an idiot, a weak idiot. This is the classic mochi wobble. Let's give it a go. That's all right. Inside, it's got a bit of a like paste, I'd say, like a peanutty paste. It's quite nice because it's actually where typically I'd find myself having things involving peanuts, because eating actual peanuts kind of disagrees with my very sensitive throat for some reason. But I can eat kind of like peanut butter and things that don't involve like the actual chunks of peanut. But usually I'll find myself having kind of the sweet versions of those. This is actually like a really savoury version of peanut, and it was quite nice and refreshing. I think that actually would be quite nice to have with a cup of tea on the side. It's not necessarily completely up my street because I do have a sweet tooth. But if you like peanuts and you like mochi, you will enjoy that. So our next item, I feel might have got squashed in transport because you'll notice there's a bit of a discrepancy between the image and the now powder that is within this packet. So what I'm going to do before I eat this, just to know what I should be judging it on as I eat, I'm going to actually look up pork floss crispy, which is what this apparently is, to find out whether it's meant to look like a powder or not. Okay, so as far as I can see on the images of anything like this, it does in fact look quite like there's tendrils or whatever about it on the packaging, but then what's inside the packaging looks quite powdery, so I'm assuming it's meant to be like that. I haven't got any instructions, so I'm assuming it's meant to just be eaten out of the packet like this. We'll see. If I'm wrong and you know the answer to my many questions about this, comment down below. Oh. Okay, so there are, looking at it actually in the packet, there are some pieces of it that are still together, kind of. That was a journey. So I actually really, probably because I quite like pork anyway, but I actually really like the flavour of this. But the texture, my initial reaction to that, it was just felt like I'd put an actual powder in my mouth. And for a split second, it felt horrible. But then as the flavour came through and it kind of started dissolving a bit, it was actually quite nice. So that's an odd experience to eat, but actually I think if I got used to the texture of it, I could actually see myself quite enjoying that. So if you are a fan of pork flavoured things, this is one that probably is worth having a try. And now we have the first sweets, or candy if you're from somewhere that says candy, not sweets. So these are 4 flakes, and I think I remember looking them up before, and are they spicy, or is it just the fact that there's red on the packet that makes me think that? I'm gonna Google it, unless it says hawthorn sweets. I don't know what the flavour of hawthorn is though, so just before I pop them in my mouth, in case I've got to be prepared, I'm gonna do a little search online. So I googled Haw flakes and none of the initial stuff is giving me a flavour, so I've decided to not cheat and just kind of give a natural reaction to whatever these taste like. This might be the time where I finally have to give in and get scissors. Yeah. So in the multi-pack, I got 10 of these. It's kind of like a Rolo tube, if you've ever seen the packaging for those. Oh. And then they're in like these discs. So that's an individual disc. That's not actually bad. I think I quite like the flavour of that. I don't know what it's reminding me of, but it is definitely a fruity flavour. The only thing I'm not sure about is the texture, but I am, as you might have noticed through this video already, a bit of a textured person. Like, I'm a bit fussy with it. It's almost like if you've had Love Hearts or something before, like it's quite like crunchy and crumbly, but it's also not quite as crunchy as I would picture it being. Like it does fall apart a little bit, like there's a little bit of flexion to it. Like it doesn't just completely snap away, it kind of gently snaps. But I do think I like the flavour. I'm going to have another one. Yeah, that's all right, would be my summary. I think I could happily eat those. I'd prefer them if they had a slightly different texture, if I was being fussy, which I am. And we're back with the crisps. These are grill corn sticks. Il kabayaki flavour with sugar and sweetener. I think it's something to do with barbecue. I'm not gonna lie, part of what drew me in was the packaging, like just the concept of a corn on the cob kind of having arms crossed. We just don't get enough of that sort of thing on packaging in this country, so especially for things for adults, so that drew me in. It seems to be like barbecued meat as well around so I'm guessing it's kind of made from corn, the sticks, and then the flavour, although it's eel, so maybe that is eel meat. Never had eel before, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to judge them based on how eely they taste, but I should be able to at least judge them on how good they taste, hopefully. Oh, I've spotted as well, before I make any more mistakes, it does have a tear down note, so I at least have found that before I've embarrassed myself any further than I already have today. So they're kind of that shape. Let's give it a try. So I feel like I can get the hint of the eel. It tastes kind of like I would picture eel tasting, but with like barbecue flavouring as well. Obviously, as you've already seen with me and the spicy crayfish, I want to say, crisps, the spicy lobster crisps. I don't mind a seafoody flavour on my crisps. But it's still kind of like subtle enough, like it isn't like overpowering in terms of the seafood. It's what you'd want from a crisp with a seafood flavour is what I'm trying to say. I feel like I'd probably need to eat a few more to be completely sure in terms of whether I'm sold on the combination of the eel with the barbecue, but I will eat them. They're all right. Now we have egg rolls. I'm just going to look these up because I'm not sure, there might be a case point of them, or I feel like there's something to know that I don't currently know about them. Okay, so I thought I might get like some history or something kind of pop up when I look these up. But what actually stood out to me is that I should say that they are made in Taiwan. I think they're commonly eaten in China, but they're made in Taiwan. So just an FYI. But I suppose the only thing I can really find out quickly right now is what they taste like. Okay, well, that was bigger than I was expecting. Like from what is on the packet, I was picturing like something kind of half the size. Oh! Half the size. Oops. I was kind of, I just ate the last little bit that was left in my hand. Okay, so that's really giving, I think, whatever fortune cookies are made from, I think this seems to be made from something like similar biscuity type material. Well, it's quite crumbly, as I've now discovered. So I actually really like these. This is kind of like, so it's sweet, it's kind of comforting in its like biscuity ways. But also it's light, like it doesn't feel heavy at all when you're eating them, which I suppose could be dangerous because you could end up eating like the whole pack. But it's just like it's a simple but really nice and enjoyable thing to eat. So I think I'd quite happily snack on these quite a lot. And now we've got the penultimate item on my list to try, which is white rabbit candy, which is apparently creamy candy, which does intrigue me. Apparently white rabbit creamy candy is an iconic cultural brand in China, and also apparently it's wrapped in edible paper. I don't know, I'm gonna open it because I feel like it doesn't mean this paper. Oh, is that some of the edible paper? Oh yeah, so it is wrapped in paper, if you can see. It's a hard candy. So that was quite hard to begin with. It felt like a challenge. It started as a challenge, but then as I kept going, it actually had a really nice flavour. Like, I really enjoyed that. It was kind of taste like Haribo milk bottles. It had that sort of flavour to it, but kind of more powerful. And the texture after it kind of started getting warm and softer, it was actually really nice to eat, so I could quite happily have those. Good snack. Finally, we're going to end with mooncakes. I actually have two versions in this pack. One is the double yolk lotus paste and the other is the red bean paste one. Apparently mooncakes are given out around the Mid-Autumn Festival, which is a holiday tied to the 15th day of the 8th month of the Chinese lunar calendar. So I don't think these are necessarily traditionally in all year round, but I do remember when I was in China, it was March time, and I didn't buy any, but I did see mooncakes in the supermarket at the time. So I feel like they're just kind of a special kind of item, like a festive sort of treat, I guess. So there they are. Oh, it already took out, I think this is cutlery as well. We'll see. But I'm going to assume that's got some dark colouring in it, so I'm going to assume that might be the red bean paste one, but we'll see right now. I've got these. I'm guessing you cut it into pieces and then pick up with these, because there's multiple of these little fork things. So I'm not sure if I've eaten anything containing red bean paste, but I do think that's it. So that's the kind of texture that I quite like. It's quite smooth, it's easy to eat. And I think the flavour's like alright, but I just don't think red bean paste is completely up my street. It's a little bit on the savoury side, but it's still sweet. It's alright. I'm going to see what the other one's like to compare it to though. So this is the double yolk lotus paste mooncake. I'm going to try and cut off this bit so I get some of the lotus paste and some of the yolk as well for fair comparison. I really like that. It's a shame these are like kind of expensive in the grand scheme of snacks, because the double yolk lotus paste one is amazing. It's right up my street. It's like got that comforting flavour. It's like a little bit cakey, but it's really dense. It's got the texture of like the centre of like a really gooey brownie. I'm glad this is the last thing because that was actually lovely. Okay, so that was Chinese snacks. All me trying them for the first time. It was quite a range. It was on the large part quite good. I enjoyed most of those snacks that I've tried. It should be obvious, but my least favourite of the bunch that I've tried today was definitely the watermelon bread. That is disgusting. I hope I never see that again in my life. No offence to anybody who does happen to enjoy that, but my brain just literally could not comprehend the combination of bread and overwhelming watermelon flavouring. It made no sense to me. I think the most surprising thing that I enjoyed was the mooncake, the double yolk lotus paste mooncake. That was genuinely surprising to me that I enjoyed it. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about lotus paste or that kind of flavouring, but it was actually really enjoyable. But I think overall the thing I most liked was actually the white rabbit candy. That was really, really nice. Once you get into it and it starts going, it takes you on a journey, but it's well worth it. I hope you enjoyed watching me try some Chinese snacks. I certainly enjoyed trying the Chinese snacks. If you've got any ideas on where you would like me to try snacks from next time in the next segment of Snacks of the World, let me know down below. Thanks for watching me eat snacks.